Is called to order, please. Would you please stand for a moment of silence? Thank you. Doctor, pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. And Mr. Colunga and Cortez are not present. Number 5.
Recommend approving the agenda of the regular board meeting of April 6, 2010 with any corrections or deletions.
Mrs. Springton.
As written, sir.
Right. We have a second.
Motion approved.
First.
I'll second the motion to approve.
Been moved by Mr. Zayas and second by Dr. Escobedo. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. Number 6.
Recommend approving the minutes of the regular board meeting of February 16, 2010 with any corrections.
Motion approved.
I'll second.
Okay, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Of course, you know that. Number 7.
Recommend approving the consent agenda. The board has agreed to discuss the following items. All of the items below that are not called out will be approved by consent.
Okay, our colleagues agreed to discuss number 10, 13th, 14, 24, 25, 31, 32, 33, 34. Monday?
29.
You want 29?
Yeah.
Okay. And 29. Anyone else?
Did you say 15?
I move to.
No, he didn't say.
You want 15, ma'am? Yes, sir. Okay. Pena.
I move to approve the consent agenda as recommended by administration.
Okay, it's been moved to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. Pat?
Superintendent's report, conference presentations. Item 1, presentation of district and regional spelling bee winners 2009-2010.
Mrs. Springton.
Thank you, Mr. President. Right now, I'll turn the floor over to Ms. Momfaus.
Mr. President, Mr. Springston, the district's annual spelling bee competition is always an auspicious and very nerve-tingling event. We are proud tonight of the students who won at the state, at our district competition, and of course at regionals. So Ms. B. Garcia, Elementary Curriculum Specialist, Coordinator, Program Administrator, is here to present our winners.
Mr. Board President, Mr. Springston, members of the board, administration, and audience, it gives me great pleasure to introduce our district and regional spelling bee winners. We are very proud of all of them. They're all winners in our eyes. So at this time, we would like to also recognize our parents, our sponsors, our teachers, administration. If they're in the audience, if you can please stand to be recognized. Our participants will line up. Some of them might be still tax testing. Today is tax day, so they might be tax testing. So at this time, we're going to start with Veronica Guevara, Vela Middle School, 8th place. JC Castro from Gonzalez Elementary, 7th place. Gregory Arnold from Hudson Elementary, 6th place. Ross Guevara from Garcia Middle School, 5th place. Nelly Garcia from Stillman Middle School, 4th place. Jacqueline Gutierrez from Lucio Middle School, 3rd place. Saran Butong from Gallegos Elementary, 2nd place. And our district spelling bee champ, and also he represented us at regionals, is Luis Solis from Falk Middle School. Luis also tied for 3rd place at our regional spelling bee. We are very proud of our students, and at this time, we would like for them to go up to you and shake your hands because they did a great job for our district.
Congratulations. Good job. Congratulations. Good job. Congratulations, young lady. Good job. Congratulations. Congratulations. Good job.
Parents, are they here?
Some of our parents are here, sir. Yes.
Come on, take a picture with us.
Parents, please.
Good to see you.
No social life, no social life at all. Compared to your kids. I know.
Get ready for this one. Item 2? Item 2, presentation of 2010 University of Texas at Austin exemplary migrant students.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ms. Monfils, please.
Mr. President, Mr. Springston, members of the board, and audience. This is another very proud moment in BISD. These 4 students are among 40 that have been recognized at the state level. All of the migrant students in Texas, these 4, are among the 40 elite. Ms. Alanis, Ms. Barca.
Good evening, Mr. Aguilar, board members, Mr. Springston. It is with great pride that I present to you this evening the 4 BISD students that received recognition on Monday, March the 29th, as a 2010 University of Texas at Austin exemplary migrant students. These students were recognized for their academic achievement, participation in extracurricular activities and community activities, performance in regards to earning high school credits through the UT Austin Distance Learning program and the migrant obstacles that they've overcome. Representing Hannah High School, we have, of course, Area Assistant Superintendent Dr. Carl Montoya. From Hannah High School this evening, we have Ms. Terry Alarcon, our principal. We have, I did not see him, I don't know if he's arrived yet, but Mr. Clemente Garcia is the migrant teacher. And our exemplary migrant student, Senior Jessica Hernandez, and her mother, Juana Hernandez. Representing the Lopez Cluster, Area Superintendent Mary Jo Monfils. From representing Lopez High School, Assistant Principal Benita Cortez. We have migrant teacher Carol Dubois, exemplary migrant student Junior Eduardo Colunga and his mother Marina Colunga. Representing the Porter Cluster, Ms. Rachel Ayala. Porter High School Principal, I have not seen her, but Ms. Dora Sauceda. Migrant teacher Jose Salazar. Exemplary migrant student Senior Victor Silva and his mother Elva Silva. Representing the Rivera Cluster, Area Superintendent Berta Peña. We have tonight Mr. Tim Snyder, Rivera High School Principal, migrant teacher Sergio Sanchez. We have the migrant counselor contact, Ms. Brenda Wilburn, and exemplary migrant student Senior Kenya Benavides and her mother Severa Benavides. We'd like to thank you for your continued support, and now if the students and their parents and the school representatives would go by and shake hands. Thank you.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Good job. Congratulations. 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 I migrated all the way. Congratulations. Congratulations. Congratulations, sir.
Congratulations, Carol.
Hey, Tim. Congratulations. Pretty good. Congratulations. Congratulations, young man. Good luck to you. Congratulations. Congratulations, young lady. Good luck to you.
Sir, congratulations.
And I have an outfit just like
Very, how you doing?
Thank you.
Thank you.
size 7.
Ow! I know.
Congratulations.
Beautiful dress.
Mrs. Esparza.
I double dip. Yep, stop there.
Ms. Alanis, all the principals come and have a picture taken with the board. Yeah, I think it's a large photo. You guys are too tall for us. Oh, Brandon. You want to go back and then?
Retired?
Good to see you.
No, I think so, but I kind of forget. Oh yeah, here we can stand on our toes. Down there wouldn't have helped at all.
Now you know, Tim.
Tim, move more this way. You're blocking. There you go. Oh, never mind. Put Tim on the front.
Yes. Oh, they will.
How do you take pictures? You take the tallest ones and you put them on the end, not in the middle. I always take the tallest people and you put them on the ends, never in the middle. When there's 10,000 people.
Item 3, presentation of Health Advisory Council.
Mrs. Springton, please. Pat, before Mr. Colon gets present.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, let me call on Ms. Monfils.
Mr. President, Mr. Springston, members of the board. This School Health Advisory Council has been a requirement with TEA since Senate Bill 283. Brownsville has been very, very, very faithful to its mandates. Annually, we have reported to the board as required. The council is not required to make recommendations every year, but you can see in the background that we gave you that they have made some very excellent recommendations over the years, which we have followed and adopted. So we have Ms. B. Garcia, our elementary curriculum program administrator, and she will do this presentation. Thank you.
Mr. Aguilar, Mr. Springston, members of the board, administration, and audience, it gives me great pleasure to introduce our SHAC, or our Student Health Advisory Council, for this year. It's a very active board, or recommending board, and we're very proud of the fact that they meet on a voluntary basis. Once every 2 months, they make recommendations, and without your support as a board, with our recommendations and our policies that are set forth from the state, that we are able to do what we have been doing in the areas of health and PE. So at this time, I'd like to recognize them. I'm going to start by introducing our chair, Mrs. Olga Perez. Here, okay. Noelia Iso, Hannah Cluster Parent. Okay. Erica Molina, Hannah Cluster Parent. Yesenia Cortez, Hannah Cluster Parent. Susana Escamilla, Lopez Cluster Parent. Norma Caraveo, Lopez Cluster Parent. Rosa Navarro, Lopez Cluster Parent. Martha Vela, Pace Cluster Parent. Rosalinda Rodriguez, also a Pace Cluster Parent. Araceli Perez, Pace Cluster Parent. Elisa Perez, also Pace Cluster Parent. Eliodoro Paredes, Porter Cluster Parent. Teresa Zavala, Porter Cluster Parent. Ofelia Villarreal, Porter Cluster Parent. Anita Fuentes, Rivera Cluster Parent. Alma Gutierrez, Rivera Cluster Parent. We also have members of our district that are participating in our SHAC. We have Ana Aguilar, BISD Law Enforcement Officer. Roy Alanis, our Wellness Coordinator. Elizabeth Avitia, she is our Health Quest and Catch Lead Teacher. Christian Calderera, our Physical Education Specialist. Orlando Cano, our Safety Administrator. Maria Castillo, Health Service Administrator. Elva Harris, she is with our Nurses Supervisor with Valley Baptist Medical Center. Dolores Emerson, Morningside Elementary Principal.
Still tax testing.
Tax testing. We also have Dr. Enrique Escobedo, BISD board member, and as one of our SHAC members, we please come down and receive your certificate, sir. We thank you for your participation. Rosalba Larasquito, Parental Involvement Coordinator. Terry Mendez, BISD Food and Nutrition Service Administrator. Irma Lisa Pineda, BISD Certified Nutritionist. And Belinda Ringninger, who is the UT Houston School of Health, Public Health. This is our SHAC body that we want to recognize and have all of our board members know that we are very much attuned into the most recent research and effective practices in health and PE. This is our recommended board, and board members, once again, Mr. Springston, we thank you very much for your support and cooperation in our recommendations. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Roy? Christian, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Orlando. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Sir? Good job, good job. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. President,
Doctor?
if I may, I really want to thank the committee. You know, I've worked with them for a while now, and I can see their genuine dedication. We have not only members from different areas with different backgrounds, experts in the community, but also the parental input. And I can see just from attending meetings with them that there is a genuine interest in the topic. So I just want to thank them for the sincerity and for the dedication and time that they invest in this committee.
Thank you, Doctor. Anyone else? Pat?
Item 4, presentation and discussion on BISD assigned campus budgets and procedures of expenditures process. Board member request.
Mrs. Springton?
Thank you, Mr. President. I believe Ms. Precious Garcia, Tanti, is that a question that you had?
Yes. The question to this one was that, can somebody explain to the board as to, once you assign those monies into that campus for this fiscal year, how is it managed? Who really manages? And let's say that if it's for supplies that are to be used for the ROTC department or for the football department or athletic department, who has, let's say, who makes the final decision as to if the money that's already given it's removed? Would that be administration from the main office, or is that the administration from within the campus?
Okay. If I'm catching your question, we're talking about a campus that is monitored through finance and budget, given reports to on a weekly basis, if I'm catching this correctly, that we do a weekly report that goes back to the AAs, and the AAs are then responsible for maintaining and working with those campuses and their budgets. As far as expenditures are concerned, each AA works with each campus to look at their expenditure report and to make sure that they're following and staying with we kind of have like a timeline of wanting to spend certain allocations according to the their campus improvement plan to meet the needs of the kids under certain percentages at certain times of the year. Am I correct, Mr. Fuller?
May I, Mr. Aguilar?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Springston. Ms. Garcia, yeah, and just to add to what Mr. Springston's saying, it also depends on what funding source that we're talking about. And if it's a student allocation, we'll give the latitude of who transfers the money where. Example, if it's local maintenance fund and it's for the fine arts program, then basically we allot the fine arts program X number of dollars. From there, they allot it to the campus level. All expenditures or requisitions will go from the campus to the principal, to the fine arts administrator, and then to the appropriate area administrator for final approval at that level. Then it goes through the regular process of going, if it's got, well, it's going to end up in purchasing at the very end.
Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong, but in my knowledge or the experience that I've had is that every year between February and March, the campuses are asked to go through their finances, through their accounts as to what is it that they're going to be needing, what type of balance are they going to have or need for each department that they need supplies, correct? Am I correct? That's how it works, right? Because
The budgeting process.
the budgeting process, right? That's how it begins. So let's say that I'm the principal at the campus, and I have the volleyball team, the basketball team, and so forth and so on. And then I want to know as to do you allow them to spend it like for uniforms? And I mean, I know that it goes to uniforms. I mean, it's if they need it. Like if in 10 years a campus hasn't bought uniforms for a certain, program, will you go and you say, okay, the uniforms are already old, they need to be replaced, and so forth? Is the principal allowed to just tell that administrator that's in charge of that department, I'm going to remove you that money, you're not going to be able to spend it? That's the bottom line is the administrator allowed to say, you're not going to be able to spend that money, we need to remove that money from, I mean, obviously you give it to each, at your campus you go through each department and you say, let's say if it's the fine arts, and fine arts says, well, this year we're going to need $5,000 because we're planning on doing this and buying this. And then you go to your ROTC and the ROTC says, okay, you know what, I'm going to need, $6,000 because we're going to be competing in this and we're going to buy uniforms, or we're going to buy whatever is needed for the students. But then all of a sudden the principal says, no, you know what, I need that money somewhere else. I mean, the reason is because if these people are being asked to put a budget together because they're going to need it for the purpose of to be used for the students, and then all of a sudden you get to the point that the principal says, I'm going to take that money out of your budget. Do you see that happening often, or is that okay for you to do?
As a principal, earlier, I did have control over my budget, working with my site-based team, and we made decisions based on individual needs of the campus on where certain items took place and where we actually put certain monies. Or if we had certain monies that were, like you said, uniforms, that didn't come through me, that came directly through athletic budget, and so I didn't have control over those funds. So I'm not really for sure which funds you're talking about. If there were 199 funds, instructional funds, and the principal is the one that builds those budgets and uses those budgets according to what their needs are.
No, well, my question is just in general, just to anybody in the campus, just for any like I say, if it's the band, if it's the ROTC, if it's the the fine arts program, if it's a chess, let's say it was to be the chess department and they had $3,000 allocated for them. Is the principal allowed to say, you're not going to need that money, I'm going to take it away from you?
Let me, Ms. Garcia, just real quick.
That's why I'm asking, what's the process?
When it comes to uniforms for athletics, there is a replacement schedule. When it comes to uniforms for band, there's a replacement schedule. On the example of the ROTC, and I think you said the science, that to me that sounds like our local maintenance allocation we give to each campus based on the number of students. The principal has, I guess, the final say in what meets the needs of that campus. They cannot take it away and give it to band. Okay, band cannot take away their local funds. We specifically allocate by different categories, such as your local maintenance. Fine arts has their own allocation. Athletics is a whole different funding source, so that's a different type of approach we take with them. But anything that's student-generated, basically it's going to go for that type of student, and in this case, local maintenance, it's going to be for the general population of the campus, whether it be ROTC or the science or history or journalism or art. And at the year end, if the principal deems that there's funds left over and for example, art, that they want to do some sort of initiative at the campus, then they can take those funds.
They'll remove the funds from that one.
Well, they'll reallocate those funds to a different
Location
purpose.
or
Purpose,
okay.
not location, just a different purpose within the same campus.
Okay, I just wanted clarification to make sure the process. I know how the process is. I just didn't know if something had changed since the last time I worked in the system. Okay, thank you.
Peña.
That was it.
Mr. Aguilar, Mr. Springston, am I to understand that, from what I just heard and the way I interpreted, the funds, like for example, let's take chess. You give so much money for chess, but if the principal doesn't release the money to the chess team because they are the final say-so, for whatever reason, they choose not to. At the end of the year, if there's money left over, it goes back to the chess program. It doesn't get allocated, like Mr. Fuller mentioned, that they could do some type of other
No, on campus.
on campus. I'm talking about the money that's on campus allocated for chess, the money that's on campus allocated for a drama club, some money that was allocated for a certain specific activity. I didn't understand you to, I understood you
Sonia,
to
would
say they could,
Okay, if we're going to, we'll talk specifically about the chess program. Because we have a specific district chess budget that is then distributed down to the campus level, only the expenditures for that budget can be used towards the chess, whether it be in supplies, clocks, the game pieces, the game boards, or whether it be in travel or meals. And all expenditures for the chess, because we have a special code within our account code, that every a PR that's submitted will go to Mr. Merrill Hammonds, which oversees the chess program, the administrator for academic or advanced academics.
leftover money at the end of the year.
It stays within the chess
That
program.
program.
Yes.
So it doesn't, the principal doesn't have discretion to use it as she pleases. It was left over at the end of the year. Am I correct? Okay,
No,
that's what I
The
thought I
principal
understood
can
you to
only
say.
use that because it's specifically set for chess, then they can only be used for chess purposes.
Okay, I just need a clarification because I misunderstood what you said. Thank you.
Now, the regular school allocation, that can be
That's
moved
different.
from
Yes.
various types of
But
groups.
not when you have specific money for specific, like chess is a specific allocation for chess. Yes, I misunderstood, so
Yes,
thank
ma'am.
you.
Pat,
Item 5, discussion on chess documentary, board member request.
Mrs. Springton.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ms. Pena, was that your question?
Yes, I've gotten several, Mr. Aguilar and Mr. Springston, board members, I've gotten several questions and people have called stating what the status is of the documentary that we were looking at, to see RFQs or RFPs that were going to go out, and they were just wanting to know, where it's at, and I know that I've been told that it was already going to be going out. I spoke to several people, even Mr. Saldaña, and they said, no, it's already ready to go. It's going to be on the website. And I've checked only because people have called, and there's a lot of people in the community checking because they're so interested in it. And if I may, interject, the people that are looking at doing this documentary were also approached by HBO because Brian Gumbo would like to do a 15-minute segment on Brownsville chess. And I thought that was like awesome, but nothing's really been done to showcase it out in the country. So we can get other people to jump on board and continue to showcase. So I'm just wondering, where are we with that process?
My understanding is that we have already advertised. Am I correct? It went out on the 4th. It will be re-advertised again on the 11th. Can you go through that timeline right quick?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Springston. Ms. Pena, yes, there is a timeline that has already been set forth. The first publication was last Sunday, the 4th. The next one will be on April the 11th. The submission for that RFP will be on the 28th. We will open it up on the next day, the 29th. We'll go through the evaluation ranking with administrators, various district personnel to evaluate it, and we're looking at May the 18th for board approval.
I have a question, if I may.
Hold on. Is that it, Ms. Pena?
On this one, yes.
Okay, Ms. Garcia.
Also, when this advertisement goes out, does it go out to everybody at the same time, or somebody gets notified prior?
It's on our website, so everybody can be notified as they want to, like all our other bids are on our website. Any type of changes or addendums, it goes to our website.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Pat,
Item 6, presentation on chess teams attending national chess tournaments, discussion on funding, board member request.
Mr. Springton, please.
Yes, thank you, sir. Ms. Pena, you had a question there?
Yes, Mr. Aguilar, Mr. Springsteen, board members, I've got a question because we know we have some teams that are trying to raise some funds to go to the chess tournament. Specifically, Martin Elementary is the one that I'm concerned with because they play second in the state, and where they're looking for funding. So I'm just want an update on the funding and how the process is, because I know that the district funded first, second, and third at regionals. And the concern that I was having is that, well, there's no way to put it nicely how I think of this, but a particular we have a travel department, am I right? But we went through a travel agency outside of the district to get the airlines for all the kids that qualified through BISD funding. And the airline tickets were like $150 more. And I did bring it up to the actual travel agent because I ran into him somewhere, and I asked him, why are we paying $410 when it's 200 and something on the internet and 350 when you get on the phone? So how come we got it at 410? So I'm questioning that. Does somebody oversee? Let's say we have, because I know that we have whoever wins the bid, for example, the travel, we have to go through the person that won the bid. Am I correct?
That's correct.
And if you only have one person, well, you can't really compare prices. But I'm finding out that some of the people that were asked to bid got the bid a month after the bid was closed. And I've already turned some of that in. My problem is the district being taken for a ride when we go out and ask them to supply airline tickets to our students who the district is paying for. This is taxpayers' money. So I have a concern that when we have the funding, if we have a travel department, we actually have a travel department, why the arrangements for travel are not being made by the travel department when we could get on the internet and get it for $289 round trip. When we go through the travel agency, it's $430 round trip. And I just wanted to know an explanation, why do we not go through the travel department, or what is the travel department for? For who do they make arrangements if it's not for our students and our coaches that are going to travel to participate in the competition?
Mr. Fuller, can you give me, I know we talked about this and you did some research background on this. Can you give me some details?
Yeah, and I'm trying to recall all the details behind it. First of all, the travel department, I believe right now only works with our employees. They do not book any student groups, as that's what we sit right now.
Are the sponsors not our employees?
Well, with
The
student
coaches?
groups. If they were going by themselves, just the
Okay.
employees, right now, I believe they only work with those our employees, not student groups. Also, I know it had to do with I wish I would have brought my notes, because I do have quite a bit of information on this. I did research it. Because the teams wanted to travel as much as possible together, the airlines will only let you book, I believe, up to 60% of the capacity. That being, once you have a small airline, because out of Brownsville, it's a very small, even the airline is very small. I think it's only a 50 or 55 passenger. Harlingen, I believe for this tournament, did not go to that location, so they ended up in McAllen.
I did some research on my own, and I've been traveling across the country for years with chess, when my kids were involved, since from second to senior, which 10 years we did it. And one option that the travel agent, I don't think, gave them, yes, in groups of 10, you can book them at a good rate. Now, if you want to do 30, it goes up, because the more people on the same plane, the more they charge you, because you want to be together.
Yes, ma'am.
And there's several flights that we're leaving from here, 3 different hours, 10 is 30. I don't want to know why that option wasn't given. And we also spoke to, my colleague, Mr. Cortez, spoke to the Brownsville airport and said, when we have an event like that, you contact the airline and they'll send an airplane that will house all of them at a good rate and get them out to know that we're going to have, let's say, 100 people leave. If we make arrangements with them to go out there and bring one of those bigger planes, they will do that. And my question was just why we're paying so much. And I know what you're telling me. And that makes a lot of sense, and it justifies charging more. But in the times that we're in right now, and we're trying to cut back, our travel department should key in on, okay, this is a lot of money. If it's $200 on the internet, how come you're charging me this much? How can we turn around and change it? The parents told me they were never told that they could split up the group and it would be cheaper. Because I've got calls left and right that it was very expensive and the parents were having a hard time paying the $800 per couple to go and attend with their children. I said, well, you could have broken up the groups to, 10 or 5 or 7, and they live at different hours, even from Brownsville, and you would have gotten a cheaper rate. And they said, well, why weren't we told that? I said, I don't know, because I wasn't involved in that. That's between you, the travel agency, and whoever was mandating. And the concern that I have is, even though the travel department does not tell the parents or pay for the parents or book the parents, parents told me they were being dictated. This is where you have to go because your child is going under here. We're paying for him or here. You have to book that flight. Well, of course, the flight is going to be $800 for 2 people because it's over $400. So my concern was why we are not more diligent with the way we are spending money for our students and our coaches. What can we do, Mr. Fuller, so we can stay on top of that and help and tell these people, help us get a better rate. Don't just quote me a price, we pay it.
Mrs. Spring, can you look into that for perhaps a Friday letter or next board meeting?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Pat?
And just, Mr. President,
I'm sorry, Doctor.
just one follow-up question. Going along the philosophy of doing as much as we can in-house, what would it take for us to do our travel arrangements in-house? All of it.
Wow.
I mean, is it that much that we need to outsource this, or it just seems, and I'm blind of the process, but if we have an office that does travel arrangements, would that not be enough to do the travel arrangements for the entire district, or does it take an entire agency, or what would it take?
A few more personnel, because we're talking about a lot of kids to travel, and then it would take manpower.
Can we be a little more specific, maybe on the Friday letter, with a like a miniature business plan, what it would take, perhaps? I mean, will it take one person, or will it take 15?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
It's going to take some thought, so I don't know if I can get it
Sure,
on this next Friday, but it's going to
Well,
take some
it's
details.
food for thought.
Yes, sir.
Something to think about.
Yeah.
Mr. Aguilar, how many people are in the travel department? How many, actually? Because when we go into a travel agency, I see 4 people, and they run the whole travel company. And they run the whole city.
3 right now.
Okay, so what I'm saying is 4 and 3, you're just missing 1, and they do travel for the whole community. So I'm thinking, is their job not just travel? We don't need 15 people. I really don't believe we need 15 people.
No, that's why I said I need to evaluate it. I need to sit
Okay.
back and take a look at that.
Thank you.
B, standing board agenda item. 7, board calendars.
Mr. Springton, yes.
Thank you, Mr. President. Welcome back from our holidays. Today was our tax math day for 5th and 8th grade. Tomorrow we have a departmental administrators meeting at 9:30 in the morning. Also tomorrow is tax reading day, and we're full-fledged in the tax. On the 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th, we have the National School Board Association Conference in Chicago. Scholastic Chess Tournament is also this Saturday on the 10th. And starting on the 11th is National Library Week. Congratulations to all of our librarians. We have on the 14th our UIL High School Band Concert Sight Reading in Donna. That's the 14th, 15th, and 16th. We also have our CRSS training from 11 to 4 on the 14th and the 15th. And also on the 15th at 5:30, we have a budget committee meeting that will take place. TMEA Middle School Regional Choir auditions will be in San Benito on the 17th. And then on the 18th, we begin Administrative Professionals Week. We'll be about halfway through the month of April, and then just May, and this school year has gone by. We have a DEIC meeting that's coming up on the 19th at 5:30 right here in the boardroom, and then we have our next board meeting, which will be at 5:30 p.m. on the 20th.
Questions?
CRSS training is only going to be one day,
No,
half day?
It's 2 days. It's 2 half days on the 14th and the 15th.
Oh, it's the bottom of the 14th. Okay, I got you.
Mr. Aguilar, Mr. Springsteen, on the 15th, so from 11 to 4, and then the budget meeting right afterwards, is that what's going to happen?
It'll be at 5:30, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you.
The next item on our agenda is a public comment period. This is the time for citizens, staff, or students to provide their comments to the board. Statements and questions from the audience will not be permitted during other portions of the meeting. So please let us hear from you now if you have comments to present. To have your comments heard tonight, your name and the subject matter of your comments must appear on the sign-in sheet, which is located in the rear of the meeting room. Each speaker will be limited to 5 minutes to complete his or her comments. With all due courtesy, the presiding officer will strictly enforce that time limit. If a group of people want to be heard on the same topic, the board asks that they designate a spokesperson to avoid needless repetition. The board has adopted rules to preclude the abuse of open forum by, for example, anyone uselessly repeating the same comment or complaint meeting after meeting. All participants must understand that if your comment in the judgment of the presiding officer constitutes a complaint against an employee or officer, the presiding officer will interrupt and ask you to stop and direct you to proceed with the BISD's formal grievance procedures, be that DGBA, FNG, or GF local. With those cautions in mind, we will now be glad to hear the general comments.
Thank you, Pat. First person we have Mr. Dennis Peacock.
Mr. Aguilar, Mr. Springston, and Board of Trustees, for the past 3 years, the Department of Fine Arts has been showcasing the talents of students from all areas of the fine arts and exposing them to music, dance, drama, and art from the Renaissance period of history through the presentation of the Madrigal Dinner. Both student participation and public support have been outstanding. On behalf of Dr. Rebecca Rendon and the Department of Fine Arts, it is my privilege to announce the donation of $2,000 from the proceeds of the Madrigal Dinner to the Superintendent's Scholarship Fund for 2010. Please accept this donation as our ongoing commitment to BISD students to assist BISD students in attaining advanced education opportunities.
Thank you, Mr. Peacock. Mrs. Springton?
Need a letter opener. I've got a letter here from the Fine Arts Department, Dr. Rebecca Rendon. We are very proud to enable to donate $2,000 to the scholarship fund. We are hoping it would be more, but every bit counts. Mark Stevens from Finance will be transferring $2,000 from our Madrigal Dinner account to the Superintendent Scholarship Fund. Thanks for your continued support. Arts and Education, BISD. Thank you, Fine Arts Department. I know this means a lot for our kids and their scholarships. Thank you.
Excellent. Our next speaker is Ms. Yolanda Spies. Is that correct, ma'am?
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good afternoon. During school board elections, one of you had a slogan. It's real simple. It's about the children. You know who you are, and I'm holding you to it to this day. It is about children, and the fact that this issue that I'm about to talk to you about is putting children in harm's way. During my college years, I took a class on ethics. Business was slow, and we were offered an opportunity to collect a commission if we sold a product knowing that the commercial client was going to collect a commission, or rather, was going to inappropriately use that product. Most of the students said they would sell. I said no. We later found out that that sale resulted in 2 dead people and one that will never be able to walk again, and it was based on a true story. What I learned is that just because something is legal, it isn't always ethical, and your actions have consequences. I stood alone then, and I find myself standing alone today. However, I know that there are others who agree with me, even if they do not speak up. I'm a product of BISD, and I would hate for BISD to have to pay for something that potentially could be tragic, and it's completely unavoidable. Allowing religious groups on campus may be legal, but it is without a doubt unethical, and for several reasons. Do you want to know why? Some religious organizations are not interested in charity, but in growing their flock. That is why it is common to hear about people being arrested in foreign countries for illegally proselytizing their Christian faith. They know the laws in those countries, and they do it anyway. Now imagine the possibilities if they had no boundaries. The school district should have boundaries when it comes to religious institutions, and their purpose is for renting school property. If I'm not mistaken, the school district has very explicit policies on hate, zero tolerance, or so I'm told. Yet by maintaining an open door policy, you may be allowing religious groups to enter school campuses who could preach a hate-filled agenda. The argument justifying their presence on school grounds is that these groups are renting space, which sends the message that they are justified regardless of their agenda because they paid. They paid so they can proselytize? Is that the message? Are you familiar with the religious institutions you're renting to and what their policy is regarding other religious groups and social groups? Where's the zero tolerance? I know you watch the news. I know you are aware that some of these religious institutions renting space currently find themselves in a whirlwind of trouble, especially regarding their treatment of children. It appears that you're opening the district and the taxpayer to a potential lawsuit by allowing a conflict of interest on campus. How? If you allow one religious group on campus, you must allow all of them on campus, regardless of how innocuous you may think they may appear to be. How will you respond to religious groups that picket veterans' funerals? Pastor Fred Phelps and his congregation, the Westboro Baptist Church, are notorious for this practice and travel far and wide to do this. For the record, they have been in Texas. And ladies and gentlemen, there is a first time for everything, even in Brownsville. How will you respond to the Hatari or other Christian groups who want to rent space on school grounds and plot to kill law enforcement officers in the name of God? Will you be as accessible? Will you be able to sleep at night knowing that you may have potentially allowed a Christian terrorist group on public school grounds and that the consequence of that action could be someone's death? There needs to be more concrete policy in place that ensures religious groups do not proselytize or recruit children in any way to perpetuate their message of hate. There's a level of impropriety with what these groups are doing on campus and an even higher level of impropriety with you condoning it, especially if that group exclusively rents from one particular school. To a child attending that school, the message could be that this particular school exclusively endorses that particular religious faith. There was a reason why the Ten Commandments were removed from the walls of several courthouses across the nation earlier in the decade. Separation of church and state to ensure equality for all. Many people do not see the problem with this and believe that it isn't a big deal. Well, if it isn't such a big deal, why does my argument face such opposition, especially by Christians? Thank you.
Ms. Pease, do me a favor. Whenever you have a chance, call Mr. Springton and make an appointment with him.
Thank you.
You're welcome, ma'am. Our next speaker is Mr. George Borrego. George Borrego. I guess that's it. Fine.
10, consent agenda. Recommend approval to amend the 2010-2011 high school course listing guide to include awarding high school level 2 and level 3 grade weights to specific career technology courses.
Mr. Sayas.
Yeah, can we have a little explanation on this?
Ms. Monfils, please.
Mr. President, Mr. Springston, members of the board. These courses that are listed on the pages there from 75 through 78 will be given level 2 grade weight, which is the same grade weight that pre-AP and GT students get for their coursework. Now, some of them, and that would be the Project Lead the Way, which I believe are on page 78 only. This will be a level 3 grade weight, which is the same grade weight that is given to AP and dual enrollment courses. These are very rigorous courses. They are career technology courses, but they're very rigorous. We've put guidelines in place. We've met with all the principals. The project Lead the Way, any course there or any program there has to be certified by Project Lead the Way as to its rigor, as to its intensity, as to its level of difficulty that has to meet national standards. With regards to the level 2 grade weight, those are all articulated courses that most universities and colleges around the country will give credit for. So the student takes this course at this high school, whichever high school it is, and he goes to UTB. There's a state articulated agreement that enables that child to, besides having gotten his high school credit for it, to also get college credit. So he will be doing college work, which is why principals all met together with the department, and it was decided that this would be the right thing to do for these students.
This is something that all the principals are in agreement with?
Yes, sir. We had 2 different meetings on it to ensure that very point.
Okay.
Mr. Aguilar?
Yes, ma'am.
And may I address Ms. Malpas?
Sure.
Is this to make a better balance of the GPA once at the end of the year? Because I know that some of these courses and you're talking about the actual grade, the weight of the grade that's competitive to the GPA for the overall standing of the students?
It's actually a matter of equity, because these courses, like I said, are these students when they're articulated courses. So the students will get college credit for them, which translates into the fact that this is going to be difficult coursework. It's going to be of a college nature. Well, we're already giving level 2 grade weight to all GT and all pre-AP students, but these students doing the college work, doing the articulated coursework, we're not getting that extra weight. So it's a matter of equity for them.
Okay. And am I to understand, though, schools that don't have the check mark, they don't offer those courses?
At this point, those schools are not offering. That's not to say that they won't in the future. It's our programs of study, so when a schooling tries to get the courses that go with a particular program of study. But anytime that then they would offer those courses, those students at that school would be eligible for level 2 or level 3 grade.
And they are all very rigorous, that's what you're telling me. Okay, thank you.
Do I have a motion?
I move to approve.
I'll second.
In second, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, those opposed?
Item 13, consideration and approval of a resolution relating to establishing the Brownsville Independent School District's intention to reimburse itself for the prior lawful expenditure of funds relating to constructing and equipping a new alternative school, new high school classroom wings, a new early college high school, and new instructional facilities from the proceeds of one or more series of lease revenue bonds to be designated as qualified school construction bonds to be issued by the Brownsville Independent School District Public Facility Corporation for authorized purposes, authorizing other matters incident and related thereto, and providing an effective date.
Ms. Garcia?
Yes. I have a concern and a question. So maybe what we can do is start with a question. And please hand this over to Mr. Springston and see if he can help me understand. And I don't know if each one of you would like a copy of it so you can see. Here you go. Can you forward it to Mr. Fuller, please? I have a concern on this matter because I know that we need to continue to build and maintain the buildings and add and move our students around. But my question is, the last time I had asked administration what was our deficit, and as I was reviewing my reports, and I go into the general fund, and it's down below it, it's in parentheses 26 million deficit. So I have a concern because if we have these numbers and we're still planning as to where we need to grow, what we need to do, it scares me, you know, that we're not looking ahead. Where do we stand 3, 4, 5 years from now, and are we going to be able to get out of debt? you know, the way things are going, people are closing schools, people are building schools and not even opening the schools.
Okay.
And I would like administration to explain to me what's the meaning of that $26 million in the deficit? Because I was told it was only 11.1 million. So I find these numbers over and over, and I just want an explanation.
Mr. Springton.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. President. Now that you've really put the question, I have a better vision of what it is that you're looking at. I was looking at our budget that we post on our website that comes through TEA, and there was $11 million. From what we bring in, we expend $11 million more than what we actually bring in revenues, and that's what was posted on TEA's website. That countless had to do with a lot with us giving raises last year and some things that we're doing with the building. But Mr. Fuller, I know that you have a better explanation for the 26, because now it really, you're talking about general fund 10, you're talking about capital outlay projects and capital projects in general, so you can give us a better explanation of that.
Thank you, Mr. Springston, and thank you, Ms. Garcia. And I'm glad you shared copies with me so I can explain this. Like Mr. Springston said, when we talked about the budget we adopted on July 1st of 2009, it was approximately $11+ million shortfall. But this sheds a little different light. Now you're going into history. This is the audit report for the June 30th, 2009. I'm gonna go with the middle column first, the capital projects, where you reported a $92 million deficit. And a deficit basically is what it's showing here is the excess of or deficiency of revenues over expenditures. Okay, it's showing that, or it's reporting here on our audit 2009, that we have approximately $3.8 million of revenues, local revenues, which are probably going to be in the area of your investments, and we have $96 million worth of construction. The reason that this is shown like that is because if we went back to the 2006-2007 audit book, it's going to show that we received approximately $135 million worth of revenue with 0 expenditures. That fund balance is a positive at that point in time. It's a positive fund balance, and it carries over from one year to the next. If we went now to the 2007-08, you're going to show very little revenues because we already received them in the prior year. And you're going to now start seeing expenditures that will be coming off that positive fund balance. So that explains that column for capital projects. Are we okay on that column, Ms. Garcia?
Yes, I have, maybe what I can do is come and visit with you and
Yes,
Mr.
ma'am,
Springston,
please.
because I have, for the past 10 years, all the numbers here.
Okay.
And I think we all should have them somewhere. I think you probably have it somewhere, right?
Those numbers, and I don't know what report you're looking at, but some reports only show our general fund balance, which will not be showing the capital projects. So, but I would invite you to please come by and we'll talk about this. Kind of go into the general fund now. I have a fund balance report ending June 30th, 2008. And in this report, we reserved out of fund balance through board approval, we allocated $50 million for construction projects. So ending June 2008, we knew we were going to have construction projects being funded from fund balance. Now, I don't have a detail of all those projects right now, but I know we're looking at probably Pena Elementary School, maybe Breeden, probably the Central Annex building, re-roofings, HVACs, upgrades of fire alarms and so forth. We have a list of that comes to the board usually July or August. We bring to the board a budget amendment for construction projects. And this one here ending June 2008 was $50 million. With that in mind, when we go into the next budget year and we bring a $50 million budget amendment to the board, already at that point in time, we have the approval to use fund balance of $50 million. So that's why you're probably seeing a $26 million use or fund deficit of expenditures over revenue, because by design, we brought $50 million into the 2008-2009 budget, but we had already reserved it from fund balance. Current year for this 2008, 2009, we had a balanced budget. When we adopted a budget, it was balanced on July 1st of 2008. July or probably August, we brought in a budget amendment for $50 million for construction. And it's reflected in the board minutes, and it's detailed out exactly what we're doing. I don't have a copy of that. I wish I would have known. I would have shared that information. But like I said, right there in itself, we're already bringing $50 million of more expenditures than revenues, because those revenues have already been realized in prior years, just the same as we did in capital projects. Somewhere in prior years, we realized revenues in the excess of expenditures. If we go back to prior audit books, I think you'll see that. I don't have, the only fund balance reports I have goes back to 2007-8, but we can go back in history, back to the audits, where it'll show you where the revenues exceed expenditures. At that point in time, we recommended, and the board approved to allocate for construction projects.
Mr. Fuller, along the lines of what you're just talking about, from the general fund, are you saying in this particular year we used $26 million of the $50 million that was allocated?
Yes, of this particular year, ending June 2009, we used $26 million of expenditures over revenues.
And then the $92 million deficit that she's talking about, that's $92 million that was used, and that's from the $135 million bond election that went, the
Correct.
bond that was passed, right?
Those revenues were realized in 2006, 2007 fiscal year.
So,
And if we went back to that audit book, it would show that excess revenues over expenditures.
okay, so then, the other one that has other non-major funds of $1 million, 159. Where do those funds come from? The next column.
It could be, now I don't know it probably all your special revenue funds. This is going to be all your federal funds, your 200 series, your 300 series, and 400 series funds.
Is that your ADA construction and that type deal? Is this all construction type related stuff?
The middle column, the capital projects, is all
That is
construction.
construction.
That's all construction, which is the $135 million, which is the 4 propositions, the 2 elementaries, the new middle school, new high school.
The 60.
The 600 group, yes.
Okay.
The next group, the non-major, that's going to be all your other funding sources and probably even your debt service funding source.
How about your 10?
10s are your general funds. This is your local maintenance fund, your state compensatory fund, your state bilingual, state vocational.
And I guess I asked you wrong.
Athletics.
$26 million that's reflected there is all construction related?
Yes, because we balanced a budget, anything beyond that will be the part of that $50 million that we use. Also, not only did we bring in a budget amendment of construction, but we also bring in a budget amendment for carryover purchase orders. June 2008, we reserved purchase orders from general fund only of approximately $13 million.
Where is that?
It's in a separate fund balance report that we have. You won't see it here. This is only for the fiscal year 2008-09.
Okay.
Again, so not only do we have a balanced budget to begin with for 2008, 2009, we add 50 million, and then we add $13 more million in expenditures that the revenues have already been received and accounted for in prior fiscal years. By design, we knew we were going to spend more than what we have in current year revenues, but we had a savings account to pay for that difference.
Okay.
Savings accounts being fund balance.
Right, fund balance. Okay.
Anything else?
Just one
Mr.
other question. You said the purchase order carryover? What exactly does that mean? The expenditures that already have been made?
Basically, within the fiscal year 2007, 2008, we processed purchase orders. When June 2008 came around, we still had purchase orders that were already out at the vendor level. We do try to cancel them, but some will automatically roll into the next fiscal period. Those are the monies that we have to reserve from fund balance and then reappropriate the next fiscal year. That way, the campuses, departments do not lose out on any supplies or materials they may have ordered using the prior year funds.
Is that something we go through every year?
Every year. The construction and budget amendment, you'll see probably for the last 8 or 10 years, and also the POs, which is probably even longer than 8 or 10 years.
Mr. Fuller, and then I was going through the report, and because as I saw these agenda items, it caught my attention, it caught my eye, because we're talking here about, there's a table, an item, that I'm going to pull out this page also that I would like to share with my colleagues here, because it says that on this table there's a there's a variance, and from 08 to 09, the final numbers versus the 09 2010, the variance is deficit 31 million. So as I flip the pages, there's you know, it's just, I think we probably all need to sit down before we start adopting or going into further projects. We need to review our numbers or our figures pretty well before we can even.
Well, ma'am, if you have a copy of that, why don't you share with Mr. Fuller so we can look at it? I hate for the public to know that there were $31 million, you know, in the hole.
Yeah.
Mr. Aguilar, I think that's an
give an
excellent idea.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure as I'm sitting here, I know there's an explanation
Yeah.
for any chart that may be out there, because those are our numbers and they're audited.
Yeah, this is, I got it from the TEA. The TEA's got these
Well, it's
reports.
just public information.
So
I'll be more than
that's
happy
why-
to sit down with you and Mr. Springston and review these reports.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So I guess that there was a deficit more than 11.1, right? This was the deficit that I was inquiring about, the 26 million, and then the construction, although we had moved.
Well, that's why I
50 million.
asked what was your definition, what you meant, because it's so broad. Now that you've narrowed it down, I think, you know, we've explained what this deficit means on this audit report ending June 2009. And then now we start a new fiscal year, which is 2009-10, and we already, based on our adopted budget, $11 million. So we're talking two different reporting periods here.
Okay.
But again, I'd be more than happy to sit down with you.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Mr. Cortez.
On item 13 and 14, this is what we dealt with when we had the legislative committee meeting, right? This is the deadline that we had to meet. One of the things that I wanted to bring up, and I don't know if I can ask Mr. Jordan this question. I was reading an article in the paper the other day, a couple days ago, maybe over the weekend, I don't know.
Okay.
And San Benito is going to be doing some piloting programs where they're going to use solar technology at one of the new schools that they're going to build. And I wonder if some of these funds would allow the district to do something along the same lines. We can pilot one of these small campuses just to see what it would do as far as energy saving measures for the future for us to look at for future projects, using it on these monies. Is that possibility that we can use
The
that?
funds, sure. Mr. Aguilar, Mr. Springston, members of the board. My name is Larry Jordan with Estrada and Ahosa. We're financial advisors to the district and work with you when you borrow money. Items 13 and 14 are a special type of money that's available. It's called a qualified school construction bond. And the federal government, where normally you would borrow money and pay interest, the federal government is going to basically help you with your interest payment, pay all or some of it. And the funds are really designed for school construction. So as long as you can fit it under the heading of school construction, you can sure do that. There are other funds available for energy uses specifically. Those are not subsidized quite as heavily. This is a pretty lucrative way to build a building. The way it will work, if you choose to move forward, the federal government, again, will pay all or most of your interest. Because you're building instructional facilities, the state, we expect, will pay much of the remaining principal and any interest that's left over. So this is about the most cost-effective way that you can build an instructional facility.
Okay. I mean, I guess having heard that, my only comment to administration would be that we consider that. I know that some of these schools that looking at are gonna be 300, 400 students max. You know, it may be a good project to consider some of these alternative energy projects for one of these facilities. You know, if it's within the cost of what we can afford, of what we're gonna receive, so. Okay. I move to approve item 13.
We move that we
President,
approve.
I still have a question.
Mr. Aguilar?
Yes, Doctor.
I still have a question, just a real quick one. Mr. Springston, the question I asked you earlier, you know, in reference to how this item is worded, how do you intend, if you still do, work on the fine arts or the auditorium at Hannah?
Just my thought.
I figured, I knew that question was coming up. I've talked to Mr. Fuller, and we're gonna have to talk to, our bonding, folks who recommend these types of bonds, if we can do certain things within the corporation itself. One way is, we know that, an auditorium about the size of what they were looking for runs anywhere between $4 to $5 million. We were looking at instructional facilities, which means that if we needed to look at an instructional room that we can then take away some of those funds, but so that our 199 will not expend $5 million or taking $5 million out of fund balance, because Mr. Fuller and I, we've sat down and we've discussed it. If that means adding to these projects and looking to see if we can do an instructional facility for, let's say, theater arts, or say for choir, then that could be a separate instructional unit without the auditorium. And then what I'm saying is, then we might be able to come back and look at a different way of paying for that auditorium that would not have cost us as much if we didn't have the qualified school construction bonds to help us with the instructional facility. I just have to see if we can make that work, because these types of bonds, they have to be, these units have to be separate. They have to be, the wings, the instructional facilities have to be a separate body and not attached to the school itself. I just have to find creative ways to make these ideas work.
Sure. I think what we had agreed or was told that the method that's being proposed here would pay for so many seats of the auditorium, and therefore we'd only have to, you know, complete the project. So in essence, it would still be it would still constitute a savings. So I'm sure that we're exploring all options. I just don't want this to, you know, be forgotten yet again, as it has for many years now.
I think it's about 7 years I've been hearing that on the table. Yeah.
7 years too long.
7 years too long. Okay.
Thank you.
I'll second Ruben's motion.
Been moved and second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Number 14.
Item 14, consideration and approval of a resolution by the Board of Trustees of the Brownsville Independent School District authorizing the publication of a notice of intent to enter into one or more contracts for the acquisition, improvement, and construction of a new alternative school, new high school classroom, wings, a new early college high school, and new instructional facilities pursuant to the provisions of Section 271.004 as amended Texas Local Government Code, appointing a financial advisor and bond counsel for the possible issuance of one or more series of lease revenue bonds by the Brownsville Independent School District, Public Facility Corporation as direct pay subsidy, qualified school construction bonds, and other matters in connection therewith.
Ms. Garcia.
Move to approve.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Move.
I have one
Second.
comment.
Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Sias.
Along with what we just discussed,
Right.
if we wanted to put the Hannah thing, how does it go in the language of that?
Okay, well, we're looking at instructional facilities.
Okay.
That's where it qualifies. That's why it was listed that way.
Right. You approved? Who moved to approve?
Oh, real quick.
Fuller has a comment.
I've got
Yes,
one comment.
yes.
That's why I wasn't here at the very beginning. I was picking up an email from Mr. Kerry Trewell, which is with Fulbright and Jaworski. He would like us to add to the back of that motion. We're still tweaking the final publication that'll be out in the paper later this week. He asked if we could just add on to it and authorize the administrative staff of the district to make changes to the notice as deemed necessary prior to publication. We are still working with the land values. That's all we're looking for.
Mr. Aguilar?
Excuse me. Mike. No,
It can be amended.
Okay.
It can be amended like that without putting the notice, the 3-day notice?
It's still, we're still talking about the same general
Oh,
copy.
no, she's talking about
Add,
Specifically what he's talking about.
What, Tony?
Specifically, what he's talking about, I will go or defer to the recommendation of our bond counsel. It is out of the area of my expertise. In terms of compliance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, you have sufficient notice of the business that's being conducted here, and that motion can be amended to add that.
But my question is because,
Mr. Cortez?
Would we still be within the compliance of that 60-day window? that
Yes,
we
we're going to get the publication out here in the next, towards the end of the week. We're just trying to, there's a notice of publication on the background, and there's 2 blanks, and we're still tweaking those numbers to get the final land values. Mr. Jordan is aware of it. He was in conversation also with Mr. Kerry Troel.
Ms. Peña, you had it.
yes. Are we pressed for time on this?
Yes, we are, and let me explain why, because we want to advertise, we need to advertise this publication of the Public Facilities Corporation for 60 days. Once we go through the 60-day period, then we want to apply for the instructional facilities grant by June 15th.
Oh, June 15th, that's what my next question was. Okay.
Ms. Garcia?
You want to amend your motion?
so we would be able to add the Hannah High School building for the auditorium?
Well, that's what they were talking about, ma'am. Dr.
That's why it
Scolari.
has that language in it.
Mm-hmm.
Are you gonna give me half a building or the building that we need?
Half a building.
I mean, I don't.
Just what would be covered under
No.
these bonds.
I don't know if they're going to give you anything. I think
they're
they're going to
still
build it
looking
in
at it.
Hannah.
Well, I think we need to view the whole, what is really, really in dire
Well,
need, and maybe we
I
can.
think we need to go by the guidelines. However, I think Dr. Escobar expressed itself that we need to work on that project. And I think the administration is doing that. So, no, we're not going to give you
I
just
think we have
the
enough board
theater.
members here that want that building too.
Yes.
Most definitely.
Okay.
Move to approve?
Second.
Wait.
Cortez
What-
had already made a
What's the actual motion?
You have to amend it.
Amend it with
I
the,
would say move to approve item number 14 with the amendment as read into the record by Mr. Fuller.
That's your
Move to
motion?
approve item 14.
That's the amendment.
With,
With
as
the
read,
amendments.
Amended with the comments read into the record by Mr. Fuller.
Second.
Second?
It's been second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Item 24, recommend awarding RFP number 10-118 Central Annex Building Parking Lot Projects to Ziwa Corporation, Brownsville, Texas.
Let's see, that's,
Mr. President,
Yes, we did.
excuse
Yes,
me,
we
I
did.
think we skipped 15.
Yes, sorry, sir.
that's
Item 15.
15.
Discussion, consideration, and possible action to pay annual membership dues to the Brownsville Chamber of Commerce in the amount not to exceed $5,000 from budgeted local maintenance funds.
Ms. Peña.
Yes, Mr. Springston, Mr. Aguilar, board members, I just wanted to know the details of this 5,000, what it covers, and what the actual annual membership dues do for the district by the Chamber of Commerce.
I can tell you that we work together on a common educational interest. They have an education committee that I would get a chance to work with and meet with. We try to sell what we do with the chamber. The chamber in return goes out and sells it to business interests who want to come into town. They tell them and what we do here at BISD, because we know that if they have a business interest, they're also going to be bringing families to Brownsville, and they want to know as much about the city and the school district as possible. It's a two-way collaboration, communication effort.
And how much does it cost us? Because it says, I don't like to see when it says not to exceed 5,000. So what does that mean?
It is 5,000.
Okay, so it's 5,000 flat fee.
Yes, ma'am.
And is this an annual fee?
Yes, ma'am.
At the risk of sounding facetious, they couldn't do this for us for free? Just their city.
They
Thank
live
you.
off of donations.
Yeah, I remember that.
You knew I was gonna ask. I move to
It'll
approve.
be moved and second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Hey, you know how to
That.
Item 24, recommend awarding RFP number 10-118 Central Annex Building Parking Lot Project to Ziwa Corporation, Brownsville, Texas, in the amount not to exceed $133,842.88 to be paid from Local Maintenance Fund 199.
Ms. Garcia.
I had a question. I believe those were the only two vendors that submitted. That was my only question on that one.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we really didn't get to see what others had for us other than just those two.
That's it.
How long was this advertised?
10 days, I know, I don't know if we went above the 10 days or not. We didn't? Yes, sir.
Mr. Garza, he is here.
Mr. Aguilar, Mr. Springston, board members. We did the normal advertisement for 2 consecutive Sundays.
Okay.
And then on the third week, on Thursday, we received the bids. We did, between the 2 advertisements, do a pre-bid conference. 5 different contractors had picked up drawings. 3 actually attended the conference. And then when bid day came, only 2 submitted bids.
Would you say that that's enough time, 10 days? Because I've heard that, I mean, I recall when I was in maintenance and facilities, 10 days was not the norm. I mean, I don't know if because it's been 15 years or.
It depends on the project.
I just would like to see, Mr. Springston, more people bidding, and I think if we give them enough time, they can get their paperwork together. And 10 days to me seems pretty, pretty stretched, but it's okay.
What was that advertisement time? We did it at the 2 consecutive Sundays.
Yes, and then actually it was 2 consecutive Sundays, and then the third week after, well, we skip a week, and then the next week on Thursday, so it's actually 2.5 weeks since the first publication.
Of advertising.
Yeah.
And how many people came up to pick up the bids?
5.
We had 5 people pick up drawings. When we had our pre-bid, only 3 people showed up. And at the actual bid opening, we only had 2 people.
Mr. Aguilar, Mr. Springston, and it's a practice just to advertise. We don't send flyers out or letters out to anyone. Am I correct?
There's also, I think it's in Harlingen, where contractors check all the advertisements. They can go in there, and we're always posting our bids or RFPs on there. So there's ample advertisement valley-wide.
I'm sorry, sir. You didn't understand my question. We only advertise. We don't specifically send it out to specific companies and ask them to bid and say, we want to make sure you are aware of this bid. I'm asking, we do not do that. Am I correct?
No, the district directly does not do that. The engineers and architects will sometimes contact contractors to see if they're interested in bidding. We've done that, but it's through the architect or the engineer that has worked on the project. The district directly, as far as I know, we don't contact anybody directly.
So, Mr. Aguilar, Mr. Springston, we don't have, I guess what I'm getting in, and I'm just talking about all the bids, not just this particular one, but since the door open for bids, we don't have where someone goes out and says, just an example, hey, Rick, there's an opening for this bid, so I want you to make sure you see it so you can bid. We don't do that, right? We don't have employees that do that from the department when we're looking for bids. That's my specific question to
As
Mr.
far as I know, we don't.
If it would happen, is that a practice that is dealt with or just overlooked, or how do we deal with something like that?
I'm looking at Mr. Fuller because I know he's talking and working with Ms. Pena in purchasing about our practices when we go out for RFPs, RFQs. Can you?
Yeah, basically that's what my question is basically what we do is by law we advertise in the newspaper. And then we do, if we have, like in this case, it's a parking lot. If we know that there's X number of vendors that do parking lots, we will either email or fax them a notice that we are having an RFP out there for them. And then it's on our website.
But you will fax all of them, not just a few, right?
No. If we have, just knowing that in the past we've had 10 vendors come in, we have the information, then it goes out to those.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Garcia.
And
Because,
I
yeah.
just want to see, more people given the opportunity, because who knows, maybe one of those 5 had a better deal for us. I just think that of 10, it's not enough time.
But there could have been numerous problems. For example, maybe they couldn't bond or something along the lines. So we don't really know why it went from 5 to 2. But if they're in the business of making business, then I think they have an obligation as well to be on the lookout for business. Reading the newspapers, checking our websites. I mean, I share the thought of wanting more vendor participation, but I think we can only do so much, to bring them in. I would be concerned if I felt we were doing something wrong. 10 days does seem kind of rushed, but I don't know if that's the norm or not. To me, it sounds like it's not enough time, but I don't know if that, you say that's been the practice for a while now?
No, and Ms. Pena, if you can assist me here, it's, what I was talking about was advertisement, not time to prepare for those projects. And we advertise 2 consecutive Sundays. Okay.
Can you get out here, please, Ms. Pena? Thank you.
It's not the actual bid time. I'm looking at the time that we're advertising, and that's what I'm talking about. And then we come back in and pull them in weeks later after they've already seen the advertisement through a pre-construction bid. Can you explain that process just a
Yes,
little bit
sir.
more?
Good evening, Mr. President, board members, Mr. Springston. Law says that we have to advertise 2 consecutive Sundays. After that, after the first advertisement, which is already 10 days, we'll give them another 10 days to receive. In other words, there's a total probably from the first advertisement to the receiving date, it's about 15 days.
Mr. President. Now, more importantly, what I would like to be assured and reassured is that we do have fair bidding practices, because I've periodically heard that one of the reasons that vendor participation is so low, particularly in certain areas, is because they feel it's a waste of time. It takes effort, time, money to put a proposal together, to submit it, when everybody knows they're not going to get it, they know who's going to get it. Now, whether that's true or not, and I hope that it's not,
I hope
now
it's
that,
not.
that would concern me more than actually, the 10 days, or do we go out and let them know that we're offering, that we have this bid available? That would concern me, but, any comments on that?
Yes, just for an example, I'm trying to remember the amount of people that actually brought in proposals for the warehouse. I'm trying to think. It was like 10 different companies that went in for the warehouse. And we got extremely competitive as far as the value for the district, price for the district. And if I'm not mistaken, there was another one that had 7 or 8. It was, which one was it?
Was Daniel Breeden, Mr. Springston? We had 7 for Daniel Breeden.
And 7 contractors for that one.
And just to mention on the advertisements timetable, it's the same that we use for Daniel Breeden, for the warehouse. I mean, there's no change. The time is basically the same. My personal feeling is that this project's a small project, so a lot of the bigger contractors that usually bid our projects were not very interested.
And the reason.
Cortez.
I share Mr. Escobar's concern about, I've heard those comments as well, about how some people they don't want to participate because they feel it's already a lock for
It's a done
certain
deal.
groups. I guess one of the things I would suggest along those lines is that maybe we have a facilities committee meeting and they go over what the ranking systems are like. I mean, I'm sure those haven't been modified in a number of years. Maybe it's time that as a board we look at that and find out if through that mechanism we can make some positive changes that would possibly attract a broader participation from other vendors.
Let me share this with you because Dr. Escobar was here with me when I first came aboard, and Mr. Munoz. We share the same concerns about not having enough participants. And what you're telling us tonight is the same thing people told me 6 years ago, that they would not like to bid on it because it was already done bid. All the comments you told me tonight, or told the audience, we heard it 6 years ago. And the administration went and said, what can we create a bank or whatever it is of contractors that perhaps not only the website, that perhaps we can send them a notice on the mail, some of all those things that we can do to improve it. You know, 6 years later, we hear the same thing. I can assure you that everything that the administration is doing is legal, you see. I guess some of our contractors, if they really want something they can make some money, they need to get on with it. I don't suspect that the administration is doing something illegal or playing favoritism the way we do it. However, we do encourage people to bid on it because it's to our advantage for have more people out there to bid on it because perhaps we have a better price.
Well, Mr. Aguilar, because as I reviewed, the breakdown of the fees, it's funny because both companies are going to be doing work with the city of Brownsville getting permits, and one of them is charging us $1,150 for the permits, and the other one's charging us $300 for the permit. Isn't it the same city that they're having to come and get the permits from? You know, the numbers just don't make sense to me. If just that one in itself, item number 28, how is it that one of them is charging me $1,150 for the permits and the other one's charging me $300?
And again, the
It's the same
administration
city.
need to answer this. Mrs. Springton.
Mr. Garza, please.
They're the ones that are getting it.
These are the estimates that the contractors put in, what they think the fee is going to be. And actually, the one that has 1,150 is the one that came in at the low bid. Now, we do have credits if some of these items are less. And if they're over, then we have to come in with a change order. But these are the estimates they put in. I mean, they can put whatever estimate they think it's going to be the fee. We don't dictate that.
I have another question then. So you mean, yes, thank you, sir. So you mean to tell me that these are just, maybe this is what it's going to cost you?
Well, it's the contractor's estimate. I mean, we don't tell them what to put on there.
And I understand, sir, but my question is that the numbers are so, I mean, they vary from one to the other. So you mean to tell me that that one of them doesn't know what the fees would be in the city of Brownsville? I'm sure that as being in the business, and they've both been in the business for over 3 years, they should know what the fees are. They shouldn't be telling us a ballpark figure. If they have the blueprints and they take those blueprints or to go to the city, they should know what the fees are going to be. They've been in the business. They should know already by now. I don't want somebody to come and tell me, oh, it might cost you $1,150, and then the day of tomorrow you're going to come back with a change order, and then it's going to cost me more. I think those are the issues that we have concerns with, you know, and change orders kill it. It's just.
And I understand exactly what you're saying, and I looked at the comparison myself. I looked at, the concrete sidewalk. The person that we have recommended is like $5,000 cheaper than the other corporation. I can go down the line and look and say, why would they do that? Why would it be so much difference in price? Excuse me. And then I can go back and look at the 8-inch thick concrete retaining wall, where the one that we're recommending is only saying it's $460, while the other company is $2,000. These are the prices that they are recommending, that they are saying it's going to cost. And but when you add everything up, you're looking at a total of $11,000 difference in the project. And this is the reason why this company was, I would say, was ranked first as a recommendation from administration.
So actually, the administration is really looking at the total number of the bid, and if there are any things that they overcharge, I'm pretty sure sometimes they reimburse the district.
Yes, sir.
Well, on the unit quantities, the engineer will review that. So if there's any savings on unit quantities, then we would get a credit back, and we'll do a change order to the contract for a credit, just like we have to do if there's some additional costs that we have to come to the board for approval.
So that would add it to the 11,000 savings we're getting, right?
Well, here, in this case, it's a unit, it's the
How much
unit
is the
price.
savings?
That's where they're estimating, and I think the 300 is low, really. I don't know why the contractor would put $300, but that's what he put. I'm not sure why he put that low a number.
Be question been asked, we'll have a motion to.
I move to approve.
Let me to move, I have second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
Mr. Aguilar, I still, however, think that Mr. Saez should call a committee meeting and we can discuss, the different rankings that they use by which they determine, besides price, who gets some of these projects.
Mr. Saskin, together with Mr. Springton and.
Yeah, Mr. Springster, we'll get together and get a date on the facilities.
And not tomorrow night, please. Rick, better.
No, sir. No, sir.
Item 25. Recommend awarding bid number 10-095, security equipment installation and repairs for alarm and CCTV district-wide to several vendors. Annual bid.
Mr. Sayers.
Yeah, I'm just really frustrated on arguing with purchasing department on this issue. I still don't see the quantities on our backup. I still see the same illogical way of calculating the bid. I'm just gonna make a move that we recommend the two highest bidders on this one. I mean, the two lowest bidders.
Scared me.
Two lowest. The first two. That's my
Got a motion?
That's my motion.
I'll second.
All right, been a motion, repeat it, please, Pat. It's a new motion, right?
It's
Mr.
to approve the two highest ranked bidders.
The lowest.
The lowest bidders.
Lowest price.
The two rankings, the first and second ranking.
The first and second ranking, the two highest ranked bidders that submitted the lowest prices.
Right, okay.
Confusing.
Mr. Aguilar, before we go on,
Yeah,
question?
25.
So then we know for a fact that the two highest have the lower price than the third one. Is that why they're listed in that order? Okay, and that's a guarantee. And the reason I'm asking because that didn't happen with the travel agency. I'm not gonna let you all forget that.
It's a guarantee until there's a change order.
Second,
Well,
do we have a second?
Yes, Mr. Cortez made the
Okay,
second.
those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
Mr. President, I abstain.
You abstain, Dr. Scoville, please. Pat, you got it?
Item 11, closed meeting as pursuant to the Texas Government Code, Section 551071, 551072, 551074, 551082, and 551084.
Ay, Dios mío.
Oh, weird, right? Never want to.
What a sweetheart. Oh, there you are, Tony. Thank you so much.
Shall we go back on, Mr. Aguilar?
Spin is back to order, back to session again. Pat, number 29.
9, recommend approval of probationary contractor personnel for the 2009-2010 school year and the 2010-2011 school year. Athletic coordinator, subject to receipt of all outstanding documentation.
Move to approve.
Be moved to approve and second. Those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say nay.
Item 31, recommend approval for the proposed non-renewal of a term contract employee AR at the end of the 2009-2010 school year.
Do I have a motion?
Approve.
I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, first and second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Okay, Pat.
Item 32, discuss and consider level 3 grievance of Joe Rodriguez, Texas Government Code, Section 551074.
I move to approve that we authorize legal counsel to proceed as discussed in closed session.
Second.
It been moved and second. Those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed?
Let the record reflect that I have to,
That you're
Okay.
abstaining.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Abstaining.
I'm abstaining.
Pat?
Item 4A?
4A? Yes.
34A.
Yes.
34A.
We skipped 30.
33 is information, huh? Consideration with attorney regarding request for reimbursement of attorney fees by board member request.
I move to approve that we authorize legal counsel to proceed as discussed in closed session.
Second.
Move in second, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay.
Let the record reflect that I abstain also as
Abstain.
well.
All right.
Very good.
Okay,
Next meeting?
Mr. Springton, number 12. I'm sorry.
No, when he's done. Just as an announcement, I wanted to let you know that I'll be calling for a policy committee meeting, so we can discuss some of the items that we talked about in the back and some other policies that I wanted just to bring up to the board. I think Mr. Saez was going to call facilities committee.
Yes,
correct?
facilities committee.
Thank you, sir.
Well, you all get together with Mrs. Springton and set up the dates. Ms. Peña.
And I know that Mr. Springsteen, Mr. Aguilar, I know we have a piece of paper here that says that the reason our meeting is not live today because we're having problems, technical problems. Did we announce that?
We haven't announced it yet. I have no problem doing that.
Yes, just to make sure that
Sure.
people are trying to switch this channel, I'm sure.
We get phone calls.
I have my popcorn ready.
And also just wish all of our young ones that are testing good luck tomorrow.
Good luck.
Tomorrow's round 2
Reading test?
of testing. They had a gruesome day today, I'm sure, and we're
They can do it.
we're very hopeful that they're going to do a great job.
Well, I
as
have
we know
confidence that
will.
those people sitting out there did a
right.
wonderful job with our principals and with our young people.
That's right.
It'll be okay. We're going to do excellent.
And Mr. Springsteen, when do our teams start heading out to compete in the national chess tournament?
I believe we have a team that's heading out on Thursday.
This weekend, right?
Yes,
So I'd
this
like to wish them a safe, blessed trip and go out there and get those trophies and bring them home.
Middle schools are Thursday, high schools are the following Thursday.
Yes.
I move to adjourn.
We have to wait for the superintendent, Mrs. Sprinter.
Yes, yes, an announcement to make.
Announcement to make, okay.
Just a couple of announcements.
I mean,
Again, a couple of us will be gone this next 4 days, starting Thursday. We'll be at Nationals School Board Association. Also, Mr. Cortez is up for
Good luck, Mr. Cortez, in your election.
Good luck.
in your election.
Make us proud.
To the cube. Make us all proud. And then next week, of course, we have CRSS training. I want to remind everybody of that. And we also have budgetary meeting on that Thursday also. And on the 17th, then we have the superintendent's golf tournament to award scholarships. So it's all coming. We got a lot of activities that are coming up over the next several weeks.
also, be sure to let us know who's going to be in charge while you're gone.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I'll second his motion.
Mr. Escobedo, first motion that we adjourn. Do I have a second? Those in favor say aye.
Aye. Good night, everyone. Good night, Brownsville.